I can mount a LUN from data center in New York to New Delhi here. And what is running in the branch? A router, a switch, and this box, which has got a WAN optimizer and this disk SSD with RAID 1.0. Reliability performance is not a problem when you talk about SSD and RAID 1.0. And LUN mounted at the back with New York. That means no data is written out here. The moment the user does a transaction here, it is actually written in the data center. So what we talk about is data centralization. And once the data is centralized, only then you can talk about security. I was talking to this same example somewhere in Bangalore, and I said, think about a Kochi branch, a small branch. The regional head is unhappy, and for some reason he puts in a bucket of water onto your server. Where are we talking about security? And today, sir, since you manage 80 locations and so on, at some point of time you would have had this challenge. The data is there. How did you back it up? By a tape? By a replication software? And which never happened because the bandwidth was not available. 5 years back it was worse. Now it is at least better. But today also, while I'm saying I'll make 5 MB of pipe, 10 MB of pipe, believe me, the TCP/IP chattiness will never go. And you will never be able to mount a LUN from New York to New Delhi, or think about New Delhi to Bangalore. And that is what we are bringing to your table by saying data centralization. And we can do it, we can show it to you, right? The second thing what we're talking about is performance. When we say performance, it's not about internal WAN, TCP/IP, because that's all internal to the organization. The question is, customer like me who's going to your site, accessing some data, we all know Flipkart, right? We know Jabong and whatnot, all the ads keeps coming, like, you transacted on that, sir? If you transact, there may be a good site, but if the delay in the transaction is 5 seconds, you know what starts coming? Have my credit card gone? Right? And that's where the user experience comes in. And believe me, at that point of time, the gentleman who's managing the IT in Flipkart, with all due respect, would not even know what happened to the customer heartbeat that time. And once that heartbeat skips, believe me, he'll never transact next time with you. Right? So that's where we're talking about. So we're talking about web optimization. So we can do it for external customers. We can do it for internal customer by taking care of TCP/IP internally. We're talking about branch consolidation, data centralization by giving this LUN to the branch at thousands of kilometers away. We can do it all for you. Last not the least, I'll quickly touch upon the cloud integration. And you will be interested, since you've heard so much about cloud, what is that we are doing on that? A lot of organizations now adapting application like Salesforce.com, SFDC in short we call it, Office 365. We're talking about Google Apps. That's one part of it. You have your own application running in your private cloud. You have some application which you put in your public cloud also. So apart from these ready application on the cloud, you have your private cloud, you have your public cloud where you've hosted something. How do you put it together? How do you integrate together? So what we've done is very smartly, we've integrated with Google, SFDC, and Office 365 by putting Akamai IPOPs and taking you faster to these applications, giving that user experience what you always worried about, number one. Number two, what we did, we created a soft virtual base. CLED is the product. Anyway, I didn't want to name it, but just supposed to. It's a WAN optimization product, which you can put in your ESX in the public cloud and give that performance to your internal or external users. We also internally added a box of CLED and giving a client on your laptop, which could be Mac, could be Windows. And now the next version, what we're talking about is iPad and Android. So when you have a device and you are trying to access some application from your Android, the WAN optimization piece will give you that performance, the first thing what I'm talking about in the top. This is where we're talking about the cloud integration part of it, number one. Number two, what we're talking about cloud integration is, think about your backup today. You have large office, 1,000 people working in this office and maybe 1,000 more people, and you have all the servers as traditionally running, and you have your backups softwares like Backup Exec, Networker, NetBackup, Tivoli, HP Data Protector, Commvault, Backbone, etc., etc., etc. I can go on with those names. You work with them. You take a backup on tape earlier. If you have a 300 terabyte of data, you can imagine what I'm talking about, how many drives and how many tapes and how many slots. So what we've done smartly, we've introduced a box called Whitewater. It's a hard disk box with all the RAID and everything taken care into it. It does deduplication by 30 to 1 on an average. So what's the big deal? So let me ask you, by adding that box and saying this is a hard disk box, it will take a backup instead of tape, it will do it here. Yes, all the pain of tape management is gone, number one. But what's the big deal? It's doing deduplication. Everybody is talking about deduplication today. The big deal about it now, the next thing what we did, we moved this automatically to the cloud, saying that whatever data comes from the tape, from these backup